Hi, and welcome back to an all new episode here on You Can and You Will. I'm so happy to have you back around. I'm Catherine Louise, and today we're going to talk about something which I truly wish there would be more education on out there, because there's so many misconceptions. And knowing this kind of knowledge that I'm about to share with you in just a second can make your life turn like a solid 180. And I'm not even kidding, because failure to many of us who just don't know any better, and again, here it comes a lot of early childhood programming into play. Whatever your parents or the people who raised you believed what failures truly are. It has such an incredible power on us and our lives, like how we handle failures. How do we handle obstacles? What kind of power do we give failure, right? Because lots of us, and I certainly was one of them, and believe me, if I would have had that kind of knowledge that I'm about to share with you in my 20s, my life would have been like way differently, because it took me years to learn that, to study on that, to really understand what failures truly are and how you can actually use your quote unquote failure to succeed big time. One of the biggest misconceptions out there is that when you fail, that to many of us seems to be like the end of the road, right? Like you fail, you're done here. You need to give up on it. No matter how big that dream was or that goal that you were striving for, you failed, you're done here. You need to leave it, do something else. I bet that many of us, and when you're listening to that, maybe you're one of them, many of us can identify with that kind of belief system, and you better delete it right now, because it just couldn't be further from the truth. One thing that I would have loved to understand in my 20s, but again, probably if I wouldn't have gone through it, I couldn't teach it today, right? So what you need to understand that, first of all, and I really want you to listen to that, because it's so important that really your subconscious is getting a hold on that, is that failures are not the end of the road. Failure are one of the greatest learning opportunities for us. When you fail, you have to understand what that failure really is. A failure is an opportunity for you to grow, to progress, and to change. What you have to understand at this point is when you're taking action on something, when you're progressing, when you're on your way to a certain goal and something happens, and you would normally consider this as failure, you have to take one step back and understand this is not a failure. Even if it seems at that moment that there is no way out, you really need to take that step back. And first of all, understand, and this is so crucial, this is an obstacle. There is always a solution. Just because you can't see it right now doesn't even mean that there is none, okay? Understand that there's always a solution to this obstacle on your way. And what that kind of obstacle is serving you is, once you have taken that hurdle, right? Maybe you figured it out by yourself. Maybe you asked somebody to help. Maybe you have a mentor. Maybe you have a coach. Maybe you have somebody leading you through this. What happens inevitably is that you grow. You will be a different person, as in you have just become smarter through this learning experience. And in the future, you will take probably a lot of decisions way differently, because you have been growing through this experience. When we go through what we consider most of the times as a dark phase in our lives, in our careers, because on our path, something is just not working the way we intended it to be, you have to understand that that kind of failure, that kind of obstacle is definitely a redirection. It is never the end of the road unless you want it to be, but that will be a conscious choice. Because again, even if you believe there is no way out, there's always a way out. Just because you can't see it, And I'm really intentionally repeat it right now because you have to understand that when we're faced with a situation where we seem to be doomed to give up, what you really want to do at this stage is take some outside advice. Once you have done that, you will see that this kind of quote unquote failure in reality is redirection. And one of my most favorite sentences, and I live by that, is redirection is protection. How is that, you may ask? Well, here's the thing. When something is not working the way you planned it to, and that happens to all of us all of the time. But here's the thing, because of social media and because of how the media is portraying successful people, it just seems like they're all somewhat overnight successes and they never had to deal with failures or losses or whatever. And it almost seems as if they would just never had to go through any dark phase in their lives, which is complete BS. Let me tell you, we human beings, we always need to have all of the answers, right? We just all have such a hard time of taking it step by step without seeing the entire way, without seeing the entire path. But here's the thing, when we're seemingly forced to redirect, at the end of it, and you might want to go back and remember some of those situations in your life, what happens then is that the outcome of that new direction, a direction that we could have not seen before because of the circumstances, is actually always a better outcome, one which we could have just not predicted for the sake of our lives. And this is why we're then almost being somewhat forced to really take a new direction, trusting that way that, really everything happens for a reason and that you can really trust whatever is happening, even if you might not understand it at first. Really take some time and some learning, but what might support you with that is that all of the successful people, right, where you don't know what they really were facing, what they had to go through in order to live the life they're living right now, they all understood this one thing, and that is that failure really is the greatest learning experience you could just ever have in life. And once you have come to understand that those failures really are no end of the roads type of situations, but really are learning experiences, you will take a whole new approach to those situations, just really knowing that there's always a solution, even if you might not be able to see it right now, but that there definitely is one. It will give you a whole new mindset on how you take approach to those situations. And that, as a matter of fact, will make you being able to handle those situations in a way better and lighter way. I once learned that scientists actually celebrate failures, and I was like, why the heck would they want to do that, right? But they actually celebrate that because it is giving them the knowledge that they have one option less on their list to go through. One thing that you can certainly trust on is the fact that when you are going through a hard phase, when you're going through failures, quote unquote, you can trust that at the end of this, you will come out as a new, bigger, and better version of yourself, because the learning experiences we make in those situations make us grow so much. And one thing that a lot of people forget is that when you set a goal, when you want to achieve something, when you're striving for something, most probably the version you are of yourself today couldn't handle all of this. And one thing you really have to understand and trust is that everything that is going to happen on that way to that success, to that goal, is shaping you to be that version of yourself who can actually learn that. You, as a matter of fact, needed those learning experiences to handle that position, to handle that team, to handle that success. Whenever we are striving for the next level, we need to grow. There is no way around it. Whenever we want to expand, whether in life or in business, in your career, it really doesn't matter. You will always have to grow to some extent. It really sometimes takes a while to have that kind of trusting and knowing and just believing and almost surrendering to whatever is going on. But when you have come to that place, it is exactly that place where you can fully focus on the solution, on the growing, on the how can we figure this out kind of thing. Once you have somewhat ingrained that kind of knowing and experiencing and learned that those situations really are growing experiences, you will handle them so much differently. And this is what will make you then so much more successful. This is why I said in the very first beginning how you can turn your failures to success, because you actually need the failures in order to grow, in order to be successful. See where this is coming from? I truly hope that you've been enjoying today's episode. I know that was some deep stuff, but it was definitely something I believe we should all know and be aware of that in order to maneuver through situations like that much better. And then, as a consequence, more easy and faster as well, and be more successful on the other end. Thank you so much for listening. Please do not forget to leave me that 5-star review on your most favorite podcast platform, or if you're watching this video on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because yes, you can actually watch my episodes now on YouTube as well. I will put the link down below. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll chat to you next time. Bye!